Welcome back to Crawford-Clark Close-Up and the continuation of our James Bond retrospective. With No Time to Die literally just around the corner, we're going back over the Daniel Craig Bond movies, and we've made it to the 22nd film. On the 20th of July 2006, before production on Casino Royale had even concluded, as is the traditional way with the Bond series, Eon originally announced that the 22nd Bond film would be released on the 2nd of May 2008. This would have marked the first time since Licence to Kill that a Bond would get a summer release. Broccoli and Wilson were looking to the future with Craig as their new 007. As we wrap production on Casino Royale, we couldn't be more excited about the direction the franchise is heading with Daniel Craig. Daniel has taken the origins of Ian Fleming's James Bond, portraying, with emotional complexity, a darker and edgier 007. For writers Purvis and Wade, it was important to continue the trend that they'd set with Royale for the next film. With the way Casino Royale ends, you know there's still unfinished business for Bond. He must say, the name's Bond, James Bond, but there's still a lot of stuff churning up inside him. So if you're going to explore that, and we've got this great actor to do that with, what you don't want to do is suddenly clamp it down with all these familiar elements that keep your focus off him. It's not an easy thing to do, because the bar was raised with the last picture, so we have to raise our game again. Purvis and Wade would begin working on Bond 22 while Casino Royale was in production. Says Wade, the aim was to bring out the series' first sequel in November 2007, 1 year after Casino Royale. In March 2006, we submitted the first draft treatment, and in July, the first script. The script focused on Bond going in search of Vesper's boyfriend in a complex and emotional sequel to Royale. Bond then found himself embroiled in a charade involving stolen antiquities, arms dealing, precious metals, nerve gas, the CIA, and a mysterious organisation similar to Spectre. Ava Green's Vesper also featured in extensive flashbacks in the script as a spectre haunting Bond, and Green was optionally contracted to appear in the film. Roger Mitchell, who had been given the opportunity to direct Casino Royale and had previously directed Craig in 2003 film The Mother, worked with Purvis and Wade on the Bond 22 script and did toy with the idea of directing the film, but departed the project in July 2006. With revisions needing to be made to the script, the plan to release Bond 22 in November 2007 was unrealistic, so quickly shelved. In March 2007, a provisional start date for production was set for December 10th. The next draft of the script, submitted in April 2007, contained scenes set in Italy, Algeria, Libya, Spain, France, Switzerland, Austria, and Equatorial Guinea. As in the final film, it started midway through a car chase with Mr. White in the trunk of the car, followed by an interrogation and a dramatic action scene in the midst of the Siena Palio. It also featured Quantum's secret summit at the Brigands Festival and brought back Mathis, who would die helping Bond. On June the 19th, 2007, Monsters Ball and Finding Neverland director Mark Forster was offered Bond 22 to direct, and along with returning collaborator Paul Haggis, began ironing out the screenplay. Pre-production on the film began with a plot outline only. The very first footage shot for the film was in the can on August the 16th, 2007, at the actual annual Palio race in Siena, was shot to be edited into one of the film's early action sequences. Paul Haggis submitted his first draft screenplay on August the 28th, 2007, entitled Sleep of the Dead. Haggis would revise his script and deliver it at the end of October, just before the Writers Guild of America went on strike from November the 1st. The screenplay now omitted the idea of Vesper returning in favour of a new female companion, Camille Montes, whose goal is to avenge her family's death at the hands of Bolivian dictator General Medrano. Early drafts of Bond 22 even reintroduced Moneypenny to the series and killed off M, two central motifs that would ultimately make it into the following film. With the story still needing work, principal photography was delayed until January 2008, with a projected November 2008 release for the film. One of the positive aspects of Bond 22 is how great Craig looks, in particular as Bond, and given the number of extras used in a number of challenging scenes, costume designer Louise Frogley did a sterling job. Returning to the fold was David Arnold to score what would be, at the current time of writing, his final Bond score. Principal photography began on January the 3rd, 2008 at Pinewood Studios, with producers announcing leading cast members a few days after in a press release on January 7th. Bond 22, as it was still currently known, would end up filming in more locations than any other Bond movie, covering 6 different countries: the UK, Panama, Chile, Mexico, Italy and Austria. For director Forster, the locations have just as much soul and character in themselves. Especially on a Bond movie, locations are so important because they're icons, and that's what I remember with Bond movies. It was essential to use locations we hadn't seen before, which is so hard to find. Making his Bond debut as production designer was Dennis Gassner, who would need to bring the exoticism of the various locations to life for the film. On January 24th, 2008, press from around the world gathered at Pinewood for the unveiling of the title, Quantum of Solace, which ended up confusing the average moviegoer more than ever before, though made sense to Fleming purists. Barbara Broccoli explained that Quantum is not a revenge movie. It's much more complicated than that. It deals with the inner turmoil that Bond is facing following Casino Royale. Following Vesper's betrayal, Bond is in search of his Quantum of Solace, his degree of comfort, to gain control of his emotions and his life. The title was lifted from that of a short story written by Fleming, where Bond listens to a story told to him whilst in Jamaica. Mark Forster was excited to be working with Craig, who he enthused took the franchise in a different direction. He's such a superb actor, and I saw the possibility to explore something with him that I was interested in. Ask even the most ardent of Bond fans to give you a synopsis of Bond's 22nd adventure, and they'll probably need half an hour to think, as Quantum's plot is about as shady and convoluted as the organisation itself. Bond begins Quantum in a high-speed chase with a wounded Mr. White in the boot of his car en route to M in order that they can interrogate him about who he works for. They're quick to realise that the organisation blackmailed Vesper and are more dangerous than they'd ever considered. There is a mole within MI6, Craig Mitchell, who is working for the organisation, so Bond makes chase when Mitchell makes to shoot M. Bond kills Mitchell in a shootout, and forensics links marked bills found in Mitchell's flat to a bank account in Haiti, which leads Bond to assume the identity of a Mr. Slate, who he brutally kills in a hotel room before taking on Slate's identity and making contact with the film's main Bond girl, Camille. Camille leads Bond to the film's villain, Dominic Green, a major force in this shadowy organisation with an agenda all his own. Bond begins to learn more about the organisation, called Quantum, on a mission that takes him from Austria to South America. Green is conspiring to take control of one of the world's most important natural resources by overthrowing the existing regime in a Latin American country. Bond allies with old friends to uncover the truth whilst evading capture by MI6 and the CIA, who both believe him to have gone rogue on a wild goose chase. See? It's easy to understand. Well, that's Quantum of Solace in a nutshell anyway. As with Casino Royale, the film does not open with the once traditional gun barrel sequence, instead sacrificing it to launch straight into one of the most frenetically edited car chases in all of Bond. 5 Aston Martin DBSs were used by the production, 2 of these sprayed with fake bullet holes. Bond is in Italy being pursued by heavies with Mr. White tied up in the boot of the Aston. There's subtitles aplenty, something you'll be seeing plenty of in this film, before a title card brings up that Bond is in Siena in Italy as he opens the boot for Mr. White to get out, ready to be interrogated by MI6. After the brilliance of the succinct introduction to Casino Royale, Quantum's opening action is distinctly lacklustre, the editing so slapdash that shots are held for no longer than half a second, making it impossible to really see anything that's happening. The sequence was shot in April and May 2008, and for trivia fans, Ben Collins, aka Top Gear's Stig, doubled for Bond driving the Aston for the sequence. For the first time since GoldenEye, Daniel Kleinman does not provide the title design for Quantum. Instead, Ben Radatz and Tim Fisher from design collective MK12 are responsible for the once again lacklustre design after the brilliant work on Royale. The focus for the designers seems to be on the desert, though the water supply is actually the resource that's central to the plot. The sequence feels very cold, and it's not helped by the tonally inconsistent collaboration of Jack White and Alicia Keys with the theme song Another Way to Die, which is arguably one of the series' biggest musical missteps. For songwriter and performer Jack White, the whole song is about trust. After reading the script, I started to focus on Bond and his inability to trust anyone, even himself. That's the perspective from which I wrote it. Then I had the idea of Alicia being involved and us doing a duet, and that got me onto having male and female takes of the same idea. Alicia Keys felt that it'd be interesting and different to see our two styles collide. The song premiered in the UK on September 18th, 2008 on the Joe Wiley Show on Radio 1, 6 weeks before the film's release. The music video made its first appearance exclusively online via Yahoo on September 29th, 2008 and on Channel 4 on UK television on October 3rd, 2008. Another Way to Die would go on to peak at number 9 in the UK singles charts, but particularly impressed in Finland, where it hit number 1. David Arnold's score for Quantum is another solid entry in the series, with a lot of cues that sum up Bond's confliction throughout the narrative. Arnold understood that there's a lot of ambiguity emotionally in the film, and this is something he taps into very well throughout the score, with some bombastic action cues and some recycling of Vesper's theme for the sequence where Mathis dies in Bond's arms and Bond is forced to think of Vesper and the impact she had on him. Craig continues to impress as Bond following his debut with another solid performance this time around, and, as already highlighted, he probably looks the best that he's done to date in the role. He looks comfortable, he throws himself admirably into the action set pieces, and the character building with Olga Kurylenko's Camille is also well handled. From the outset, starting work on Quantum felt for Craig as if there were more demands on him physically second time around. There's action piece after action piece, some admittedly more impressive than others, but Craig relished the physicality of the role. I've thrown myself into this because I get a kick out of it, and we can do things and achieve things that make the plot and the storyline move forward much better if I stay involved in as much of the filming as possible. Craig's motivation for the character going into his second film is that there's a fight in Bond and a need to do this job. Everything he understood about the world has been turned upside down because he has fallen in love. This Bond is uncharacteristically brutal, watching an assassin bleed out on a balcony, carelessly throwing a bodyguard off a roof, and flipping an innocent man off a motorbike just so he can command control and catch up with his contact. He remains the blunt instrument that M warned him about in her apartment in Royale, but that makes the character arc more intriguing. MI6 has had a bit of an overhaul since the last film. Considering Quantum is supposed to be a direct sequel to Royale, a 2-story set was built at Pinewood to house ultra-modern decor, marble floors and fronted glass doors as partitions between M's office and the rest of her staff. Technology is catching up with M, and Dame Judi Dench was pleased that she's had the chance to learn to use a few more gadgets and look like I'm running MI6. Another new addition to MI6 this time around is Rory Kinnear, playing the Craig era's Bill Tanner, who doesn't have a huge amount to say or do in his first outing, but will certainly play a more significant role in later instalments of the Craig Bonds. After such an impressive performance from Ava Green in Royale as the fated Vesper, it was always going to be tough to explore female characters in Bond going forward. Once again, we're given a throwaway character, the embarrassingly named Strawberry Fields, who works for the British consulate and who quickly loses her frosty demeanour by getting seduced by Bond to the point that she becomes implicated in the story, and her death has an effect on 007. Arterton filmed with Craig for the love scene and her death, a blink and you'll miss it homage to Shirley Eaton's gold body in Goldfinger, over 3 days at Pinewood early in the film's schedule. Fresh out of drama school, Arterton went for the screen test for Bond and thought she'd blown it. Then a couple of weeks later she was filming in the middle of the ocean in Gibraltar and she got a phone call from her agent singing the James Bond theme down the phone. I'll never forget it. My colleague turned to me in tears and said, "This is such a big moment in your life. Your life has just changed forever," and I was here to see it happen. Ultimately, the character is largely redundant in the grand scheme of things, and Arterton has since admitted that she'd likely turn down such an insignificant role if it was offered to her again at this point in her career. More successful is a stunning Olga Kurilenko playing the vengeful Camille Montes Rivero. Not since For Your Eyes Only has Bond been pitted against a woman so resolute in her plans for revenge against those who have wronged her, and the dynamic between the two of them drives the narrative forward. Says Craig, Bond and Camille become reluctant partners, and that makes for a very interesting relationship, especially because we are taking the story straight on from Casino Royale, where Bond fell in love and had his heart broken, so meeting someone else and falling in love again didn't make any sense whatsoever. Aside from a short, sharp kiss that Bond gives Camille as they complete their mission, there's no physical consummation of Bond and Camille's relationship, which makes it quite unique within the series. Olga Kurilenko landed the role of Camille after an audition in front of director Mark Forster and producers in mid-2007, but was left in agonising limbo until December. When Mark looked at me, he was so blank. I told my agent, forget about it. I was so sad. It was Christmas Eve when I found out I got the part. It couldn't have been a better present. Kurilenko has since gone on to star in other action films, including alongside previous Bond incumbent Pierce Brosnan in the underrated thriller November Man. Less successful, however, are the villains, or lack thereof, in Quantum. The follow-up to the chilling Le Chiffre in Royale is the disappointingly banal Dominic Green, originally named Dante in Purvis and Wade's early draft. French actor Mathieu Amalric confirmed widespread rumours on December 5, 2007 that he had landed the role of the villain. Said Amalric, "There'll be no metal jaw, no white hair, no scar, no eye with blood, just my face. The director saw something in me that had to do with the devil." That was a compliment. I've been taking details, the smile of Tony Blair, the craziness of Sarkozy. He's the worst villain we've ever had. He's really dangerous. In fact, he walks around thinking he's in a Bond film. The problem is that Dominic Green and his pitiful sidekick Elvis are so nondescript and dull that they make absolutely no impact whatsoever on screen, and it's a real shame. Had the villain been an impressive force to reckon with, it would have elevated the film so much more. Green is all talk and very little action, apart from his standoff with Bond in the burning Perla de las Dunas in the desert in the finale. Green's end is also suitably ambiguous, as Bond leaves him in the middle of the desert with a can of motor oil. More impressive is the reveal of Vesper's Algerian boyfriend Youssef Kabira in the final sequence in Russia, where Bond is waiting for him in his flat. We get to see very little from their exchange, but it's a pivotal moment for Bond, having to decide whether to be merciful or continue down the path of inconsolable rage. Craig is particularly excellent in this final scene, demonstrating that the Bond we know and love has returned. The main issue with Quantum of Solace, apart from the erratic editing throughout, is that the film traverses so many different locations. There's a million action sequences, each more elaborate than the next, that have very little relation to the overall plot, and before you know it, the shortest Bond film to date has come to an end. I get that this is supposed to reflect Bond's frenetic state of mind coming off Royale, but when this is marketed as a direct sequel to Royale, it fails on almost every level in comparison. Quantum has none of the sharp direction afforded Royale. Though Mark Forster is clearly a competent director of character and the more reflective moments in the story, he's not the right man to bring the action. That being said, the Tosca sequence in the second act combines quieter moments and action well to deliver one of the standout moments in the film. At times it's difficult to distinguish this film from any generic action thriller of the 21st century. Aside from references to Bond as a character, you'd never really know that you're watching the 22nd instalment of a near 50-year franchise. Principal photography concluded on Quantum on June the 19th, 2008, and work quickly began on the edit of the film as it would release in the UK on October 31st, 2008. And 2008 proved to be a landmark year for Bond. Not only did it mark Ian Fleming's centenary, but Sebastian Faulk's continuation novel Devil May Care was also released in May that year. For Daniel Craig, it was important to tie up the loose ends from Royale whilst creating a film that will stand alone. If you put the two films together, you're going to have an incredible experience because you will see one continuous story. Whether it's successful in that or not is for you to make your mind up on, but on release, Quantum of Solace's worldwide gross dipped slightly below Casino Royale, still at an impressive $586 million. The premiere was held in Leicester Square on Wednesday the 29th of October 2008, and Forster was approached by the producers to direct the 23rd film in the series, but would ultimately pass due to working on other projects. Quantum is a frustrating viewing experience. There are elements that are so anti-Bond, and then in the quieter, more reflective moments, Craig's Bond is at his best here, drinking heavily to dull the pain of Vesper's betrayal, finding Fields has become another victim, Mathis dying in his arms, and Bond almost having to choose to end he and Camille's lives in the burning hotel in the climax. The desert hotel finale is rushed and a little anticlimactic, with ridiculously fast cutting throughout, but the payoff with Green and the motor oil is solid. The less said about the horrendously designed and rushed gun barrel to end the film, the better though. The pressure was certainly on Craig to nail his second performance as Bond after a decidedly brilliant debut, and needless to say he would surpass expectations even if the film as a whole leaves a lot to be desired. From Crawford-Clark Close-Up.
Take a chance on me.
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on Quantum of Solace? How do you think the film holds up against Casino Royale? Let us know your thoughts on the film and our review in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe at the top of the page to ensure you don't miss out on any new content. Come and find Crawford-Clark Close-Up on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Come and find us on the Letterboxd movie app. Just search CC Close-Up, and you can drop us an email with suggestions for future reviews on the channel to crawfordclarkcloseup@gmail.com. Coming up next, we enter the 50th anniversary year for Bond with our thoughts on the 23rd film in the series, Skyfall. Check back for that shortly. For now, thanks for watching, and until next time, that's a wrap.